everyone, Chanel here, upstairs at Sardis again, and I'm joined by two very special guests from A Beautiful Noise, the Neil Diamond musical. It's Nick Fradiani and Sonny Paladino. Thank you so much for joining me today.
Thanks for having us.
Now, I can only imagine how incredible it is being part of this production. Can you share what your journey was like joining the show?
I remember first hearing about just about the idea of a Neil Diamond musical going to Broadway was in about 2021. It was like right after New Year's when I saw it, and messaged my agent. I was like, "This is it. Get me in for this role. I know his music, and my dad loves Neil." And yeah, my agent got back. He's like, "It's already been casted," because they had been working on it pre-pandemic. And so then I went in. They had a understudy audition, and I booked that, and that's where that's kind of where it started. And then we went to Boston, did our run there, and now we're on Broadway.
Was there pressure for either of you to do Neil's story and his music justice? Because Sonny, you're arranging his music. Nick, you are playing the man. What is that like?
Yes, it was sort of terrifying. Back in January 2020, we had to present. We had been working on the show, and then we had to present it to Neil and for his approval. And he came. We were in a very small room, like this size, and we had 20-person cast and an 8-piece band and a few other people, and there was Neil like just right there, just watched the whole show, and was very sort of stoic and watching, taking the whole thing in. And then by the end of Act 1, where we start singing Sweet Caroline, this big hit, I just watched his hand just on his leg, just start going this, and I knew we had it. Yeah, that's amazing.
God.
There's never going to be another Neil Diamond. No one's going to do his songs the way he can, but I try to get it as close as I can, and that helps me to feel that pressure. Some days we go in there very tired, 8 shows a week, you're exhausted, but that kind of gets me going every day to do his songs justice.
And I should say, I get to watch the show from the house once in a while, and Nick comes out on stage, and the audience doesn't really know what to expect, right? And then he opens his mouth, and I literally watch the audience look at each other, because it's not an impersonation of Neil Diamond, but it's the essence of Neil Diamond that I think Nick nails.
It seems like it's an obvious choice that fans of Neil Diamond should come see this musical. But what about people who might not be familiar with either his music or his story?
I think what works so well in our show is, of course, it's about Neil Diamond. Of course, we see Neil then, and we see Neil now, Mark Jacoby. But it's the journey of that man. And by the end of the play, I feel like anybody can relate to this journey about someone who can't do the thing they want to do, the thing that makes them happy, and how do you live with that. And so it's about Neil Diamond, but it sort of touches anybody that sees the show.
Nick, what is it like for you on the stage? Like, are you feeling the energy from the audience?
Oh yeah, it is funny because sometimes you get all this love, and it's like a lot of the love is for Neil.
Yeah.
And I have to remember that, and it's pretty awesome. And the one thing that he says that is funny to hear is, I have worked so hard to get his music and his voice as close as I can without, like you said, making it a total, impersonation. But I worked hard at making it so that when people are there, if they close their eyes, they could kind of feel like, wow, I'm, seeing this Neil Diamond show. And I do hear that. Yeah. Like, it's quiet. You're like, he sounds like this. Sounds like, just like Neil Diamond. I think the biggest thing is seeing an audience, kind of almost thinking they're in a concert, and people standing up at times and just singing along, and then to be able to get them at the end where you could hear a pin drop is pretty cool.
You're going to get that rock concert. You're going to hear great songs. Neil Diamond had 39 top 40 hits. That's incredible throughout decades of his career. So the song. That's what I hear the most. People are like, I didn't know he wrote that. I didn't know he wrote that. I didn't know he wrote that. So you'll hear all these great songs, and you're going to get this really great story and this really great emotional play at the same time. And you're going to get to hear Nick Fradiani.
That's what I was going to mention.
Gentlemen, thank you so much for joining me.
Cheers.
Cheers. Get your tickets now to see A Beautiful Noise, the Neil Diamond musical. Final performance June 30th, and then it's going on tour. You don't want to wait to get these tickets. Why? Because it's so good, so good, so good.